Well, welcome to my first RX-8 and Yap video. It's a video format I'm going to try out where I basically just yap over a time-lapse me working on my RX-8 because who wants to watch me work on an RX-8 with pretty much no audio in the background the entire time? It sounds pretty boring, right? Well, I thought today I'd tell you guys about a little story that happened to me a while ago. You ever trust your friends with something and think that nothing would go wrong? Yeah, I made that mistake a couple times, but this is the most significant time it's ever happened. I have some, well, used to be friends who they run a tinning and wrap shop, or at least I say in quotations wrap because they don't do that anymore because of what happened with me. So basically, what happened was they totally destroyed my car. Well, not totally destroyed, but mostly totally destroyed. So, a little backstory, they had wrapped a car before, and whenever they wrapped it, they did not do a good job and messed it up pretty bad. And so what they did was they actually blamed the customer for the wrap job. And you may be thinking, well, why would they do that? Well, obviously it's the customer's fault for not being happy with the wrap turning out bad with someone who's only wrapped one car before, and whenever he wrapped it, he didn't really do an amazing job on that one either. And I'm not trying to like flame them for their inexperience. That's not why I'm flaming them. It's just like it wasn't a good idea, you know. So anyway, that's in the past, right? So he wraps his customer's car, messes it up, and gets mad at the customer for her getting mad that he messed up the car, which makes a lot of sense. Don't you do it, cat? Dang it! My cat jumped up here, so I had to annoy her so she'd go away. Anyways, so messed up her car, whatever. Kind of got mad at her for it. They did take the wrap off and he gave her a refund. So messed up that car, and about a year goes by, almost a year, and they've been rapping and tinning for a while. Well, mainly just this one guy. So this one guy runs the whole operation by basically doing all the work, and this other guy just gets clients. So the guy who does all the work, uh, he he'd been doing a lot. They've been posting a lot on their Instagram. So here I am thinking, oh, okay, he's actually gotten pretty good. And so I was like, you know what? I want to support them. I want to support the shop. So I'll get them to wrap my car, no big deal. So just want to preface this by saying originally I wanted to do cast, I believe it was called cast wrap because it conforms to the car better and it just has a better overall looking finish. But he told me he couldn't do cast. He doesn't want to do cast. So I could only pick calendar if he was going to wrap it. I was like, okay, you know what, whatever. I'll just pick a calendar wrap just because it's the best option, I guess. I don't know. We ended up going with one that's kind of a mix of both. So I had asked him, to basically I said, hey, tell me how much the roll is going to cost, and I'll pay you for the roll, and you can just buy it because they get discounts on those rolls. Well, I said that to him. I'd asked him that twice, and he didn't respond to me either time. So I was just like, whatever. I guess. Well, he did. He said, "Oh yeah, I'll do it," but then nothing ever happened. Right? Never ordered the roll. Never asked me for money or anything. He just kind of said, "Oh yeah, I'll do that," but then never did it. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna have to do it. So I bought the roll, and anyway, bought the roll, comes in, and I'm ready to wrap my car. So I bring it up there thinking everything was going to go perfectly fine. And so drop my car off, and that was pretty much it for the time, okay? I originally planned to help him wrap the car because I wanted to learn how to wrap, but well, something happened. You see, I work a blue collar job, right? So my schedule isn't always consistent. And because of that, I'd let him know that I was going to have to get him to wrap it. And I told him I'll pay you, no joke, however much you want me to pay you. I was writing him an empty check basically. I said, hey, I'll pay you whatever you want me to pay you to just wrap my car. Go ahead. Because I wasn't gonna have the time to do it during the week because the hours changing on my job, and then I didn't want to spend all my weekends wrapping this car and then it taking so long. So I said, just wrap it, and then I'll pay you for however much you want me to pay you. Doesn't matter. He said, okay, yeah, I will. Well, a couple days go by, and nothing came up, and then a couple more days go by, and then by this point, a week goes by or a week or two, and I'd asked him a couple times, like, hey, when are you gonna start on my car? Hey, can you start on my car? Blah blah blah. And he said, oh yeah, I'll do it. He said, but I'd have too many customers right now, so I don't have the time. So eventually, I was like, okay, you know what? I think he's probably not gonna wrap my car unless I go up there and basically like do help him do it or watch him do it. So I decided I'll take a week off of vacation to go help him. Now, keep in mind, I had to put in 2 weeks' notice uh, before I wanted the vacation. So if I wanted to take a vacation, I had to let my employer know 2 weeks before my vacation would actually start. So my car sat untouched for 3 weeks, all right, before I finally got out there. 3 weeks it sat untouched. I think they'd wrapped the hood, but that was it. They wrapped the hood, or he wrapped the hood and then just left it. So finally, time comes, and I go out there to on vacation to the shop to help him wrap the car. Now, something I want to tell you real quick that my company I work for changed how they do vacations. So, of course, naturally, that messed up my vacation time where instead of having 2 weeks for the whole year, I had 1 week and 2 days. Yeah, imagine that. Pretty stupid, right? Anyway, not going to get on that rant. But anyway, so I'm taking off my only week of vacation to be here to wrap my car because it had been a month at this point and I wanted my car back. It had not been touched at all. It sat there. So I go up there and I'm spending every day there helping him wrap this car. At least that's what I thought was going to happen. So prior to this, I told him, hey, in 2 weeks, I will be out there on vacation every day to wrap my car. Make time for me so that we can wrap my car and I'll still pay you. And I'd asked him like 2 times to make time for my car, right? Well, guess what? Didn't do that. You see, the way that he does things is he owes rent, I think like the end of the month or whatever. Well, it just so happened that the time that I wanted to get my car wrapped was rent time. So what happened? Dang it, my cat is playing with something again. So of course he doesn't like to plan ahead when it comes to this kind of thing. So naturally, what happens? Well, if you guessed that he was rushing to get as many clients as possible to make rent by the end of the week, you'd be totally correct in that. Right whenever I want to record is when she decides she's going to start scratching everything up. All right, anyway, she's done. So, yeah, scrambling to find clients at the absolute last possible minute to make rent because he was pretty much nowhere close. He didn't have any of the rent money saved up yet. At least that's kind of how it seemed, judging by how much money he needed for rent and how much he'd saved up and the amount of clients. Yeah, it wasn't looking good, right? So, anyway, he had no time for me basically. He had customers every single day at all hours of the day, and whenever the customers were all gone, he was too tired to wrap my car, which I totally understand, okay? I wasn't mad at him for that. That's totally fine. What I was upset about was I told him I'd pay him however much he wanted to, and I'm up there trying to help him wrap my car, taking a week off vacation whenever I only have a week and 2 days for the year, and he's not helping me at all. And I begged him multiple times throughout the day to help me, and he helped me a little bit, but for the most part, nothing. I had to get the guy who gets clients to help me wrap my car, and I had to also wrap my car. And so this whole week goes by, and we don't get a whole lot of my car. Well, we get a good amount done, but we don't get like the whole thing. I was kind of thinking we get the whole thing, so I told him, I said, "Hey, how much would you want me to pay you for you to finish my car like by the middle of next week, possibly?" And he told me I just need to make rent. I said, "Okay, how much money do you have for rent? Do you need for rent?" He told me. I said, "All right, cool." I paid him that money, and he wrapped my front bumper, and then nothing, nothing after that really. So car didn't get finished, and that whole week goes by, and then I think it was like another, think it was like another week, whatever. I was like, hey, like, can you finish my car? Blah blah blah. Anyway, so at this point, my car had been up there for like, let's see, about 5 weeks, and it wasn't finished. So eventually, I just said, hey, I'm coming there to get my car. You better get it mostly finished because I'm picking it up. So he did get it mostly finished. I pick it up and I bring it home. The only thing I had left to wrap was the roof, and I was like, I can get that myself. It's not a big deal. Well, you see, whenever he wrapped my car, a couple things happened. First of all, he left my windows down for like a solid 2 days, and I was kind of getting annoyed with that whenever I was there. I was like, hey, I want to wrap the doors. Can you help me? And he said, oh, yeah, I'll help you. Well, that didn't happen. I had to get the other guy to help me, and even then, that was kind of annoying because, so for reference, I never wrapped anything by myself before, and so I was like too nervous to really do it myself. And then, so I did do some stuff. Like I wrapped some door handles. I wrapped a door with one of my buddies. I helped wrap a lot of the car fenders, stuff like that. But anyway, so get the car back, and guess what? Wrap starts peeling like crazy. It's peeling all over the place. I can see the white on my car multiple places. And something I didn't mention at the start was whenever I asked them to wrap my car, I specifically said not to cut on my car. I said, hey, can we use knifeless tape on my car? And they said, yeah. Well, about, let's see, 2 or 3 days in, when nothing was getting done, I think it was actually the second day, when nothing was getting done, I was like, dude, I just want my car back. You know what? Whatever. I don't care. They can cut on the car. And I wish I didn't budge on that. But, anyways, so I let them cut on the car. And sure enough, there's cuts that are really bad, cuts that are really short. There's wrap pieces that are folded up and like tucked away and stuff. And everything was just peeling. And I couldn't, I was confused on why this was happening because this guy had wrapped his car 2 times and he'd been wrapping other people's stuff quite a bit. So I thought, he was pretty much professional at this. Well, anyway, wraps peeling up all over the place. And surprise, surprise, I couldn't leave it on. If I left it on, it was just going to get worse, and I didn't want to rewrap the car because I didn't have enough material to rewrap certain things like the front bumper, all this other stuff. So I made the executive decision. I was just going to take the wrap off my car. So earlier I mentioned how they left the windows down. The reason I mentioned that is because whenever he left the windows down on my car for like 2 days, uh, the shop he works in smells really bad because he just like leaves dirty like rags and clothes and stuff all over the place. And so I was kind of annoyed because my car smelled like the inside of that shop. It smelled like dirty clothes and it pissed me off. I can't, sorry, but I can't even lie. It made me really mad because my car used to have like this really nice German like crayon smell. It doesn't have that anymore at all. It's actually kind of sad. My car, even to this day, still, and it's been months since this happened, my car still has that faint smell of stank in it. It annoys me so bad. No matter what I do, I still smell stank. Pretty aggravating. So get my car back. Wrap's messed up. Okay, peel the wrap off, and I'm thinking that's gonna be the end of it. Well, no, that's not. So here's another thing that happened. Whenever they wrapped my trunk, or he wrapped my trunk, he had to remove the brake light and the tail lights. Not a big deal. I understand that. Well, he broke my trunk light. Sorry, not my brake light, my trunk light. He broke my trunk light, like the like, like the clear, like, I don't even know what to call that. Anyway, he broke my trunk light. That's all that matters. He broke the red part. It broke. So he replaced it, and he didn't have to do that, okay? But he did, and I appreciate that. He did a good job. He replaced it. Well, whenever I was taking the wrap off, I wanted to get this little piece of wrap off. I was like, oh, I'll just take out the trunk light. Well, guess freaking what? Not only did he break the trunk light that was on my car originally, he broke the brand new one that he bought me. So whenever I went to take it off, there's like a bolt. I can't even explain it. There's like this really, 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 really long, super long threaded bolt with like a nut on it. And the only way for you to take that trunk light off is to be able to actually like unscrew that nut. And I can't even explain it. But basically, that piece was broke off, and so it was not possible for me to take that trunk light out at that point unless I completely broke it. Pretty awesome, right? So that's one area that I have a potential leak, and I actually think that might be the main area. Another thing that he broke is the shark fin on the back of my car. That broke, so I had to buy a new one of those as well. And whenever he put my taillights in, I don't know what he did, but before I brought my car into the shop for him to wrap it, my taillights were totally fine. I get it back, and the taillight that's in my trunk, like on the trunk part, it is now full of water. I'm talking full. The moment I drove it like back from his shop, and it like rained a little bit, or I went to get it washed, I was like, man, that's kind of weird. My light is flickering. I don't know what's up with that. Well, guess what? That's because he broke the taillight and there's water in it now. So that's another like $300, $400. As well as the seals on top of my roof were cut. I have a convertible. Seals on top of my roof got cut with a knife, so that's about $3,000 because it's $1,000 per seal. Also, this one I take most of the blame for. My windshield seal that came off, like it came up, and the way this happened, basically, I was driving my car and I hear this thudding noise on my roof, like really annoying thudding, like repetitive. I was like, what the heck is that? Well, it turns out the seal on my windshield came up and was slapping the top of my roof. So that was pretty awesome as well. And the reason I take partial or most of the blame for that is because I assumed whenever one of the guys asked if he could lift it up, I assumed that it was just going to be like a little bit of lifting and you just tuck the wrap in. But the problem is that he lifted it up a lot, enough to where the adhesive came off. So I kind of misunderstood the situation. I take most of the blame for that. But regardless, that kind of sucked. So also parts of my paint were messed up, but I kind of expected that, honestly, because you're putting a wrap on. My paint wasn't in the best condition. However, there are parts on my car where there was bubbling like really bad, and the guy told me, "Oh, that's just because your paint was messed up." And I was like, oh, "Okay, yeah, that makes sense." Well, took the wrap off, and the parts that were bubbling really bad, the paint was totally fine. So that was just terrible wrapping. Pretty hilarious. So after all that went down, I got my car fixed. I've spent a lot of, I'm talking a good chunk of money getting my car fixed. And also, by the way, the guy didn't want me to pay him in the first place, apparently, because he's not a professional, even though he charges people for him to wrap their cars. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. And so I didn't even end up paying him as much as I was expecting to pay him, and I was expecting to pay full price. But because I helped him, he said he wasn't going to charge me anything, whatever. So I'm already out of this a good like 2 grand because of having to fix stuff on my car, plus buying the wrap, plus paying him a bunch of stuff. I'm already out of this about 2 grand, and my car is now never the same, and it looks worse than it did before the wrap. Um, so I send this guy, and I send both these guys, the guys who run the shop, a message. The reason I did this is because, for one, I was so they were my friends at the time. Still, I was so mad that I knew if I like confronted them about it face to face, I was just gonna blow up on them, and I didn't want to do that because they're my friends, right? I didn't want to just like cause this big, crash out between the both of us. And also, the second reason I decided to send a message instead of confronting them face to face is because I had a feeling that this guy who wrapped my car was going to basically try and turn this around on me. And that's exactly what he did. The reason I thought this is because he does this to everyone. He talks so much smack about his friends behind their backs. It's not even funny. And I didn't look to me. I don't really care if you're talking. It doesn't really bother me that much if you're talking smack about me behind my back. I don't really care a whole lot. But he did it to like literally every single person, even his best friend. Just airing out his business to everybody all the time, telling everyone anything. Anyone that will listen, he will air out your business. So I decided I'm gonna send a message. I write this really long message and I word it pretty much as neutrally as I can. I did add a little bit of wording in there to show I was pretty mad, but it wasn't anything crazy. It was mostly just criticism. And then at the end of it, I just said, like, the reason, and this is true, the reason that I wanted to tell them this was, one, because I was annoyed. I was pretty mad, and I just want to get it off my chest so it wasn't eating me up. But also, too, so that they would learn from this experience and be better and not mess up another customer's car. So I sent this message. Well, the guy who wrecked my car is a generational crash out, okay? Giant generational crash out. Starts kicking me out of group chats, starts telling people that, basically just lying to people, saying that I was talking smack about people behind their backs and that, I basically was just betraying him and all this other crap. And the best part was he sent this message that said, "You wrapped one door handle and call it a day." And so, for reference, I did wrap a door handle, but I actually wrapped both my door handles. I had wrapped the door handle. One of the guys said that my wrap was bad and they were gonna fix it. He went to fix it. His wrap was worse than the one I put on there before, and so I just rewrapped it myself. He even said it was bad himself, so I rewrapped it. Well, anyway, this guy who wrapped my car said, "You wrapped one door handle and called it a day." And this is the last thing I've ever said to him. I want to be petty, so I said, "Actually, I wrapped two," and that was it. And then I got blocked. Got blocked on everything. I made a bunch of edits for him. He removed all my edits from his page. He removed my collaborations from the edits, all this other stuff. Same day, by the way, his Instagram gets banned because one of the guys was doing some really sketchy stuff on Instagram that I'm not going to say here. I know what it was, but I'm not going to say. But he was doing some really sketchy stuff on one of his accounts. And since he was the owner of the shop account too, that account got banned. And also, their website got shut down because my friend who set up their website was kind of upset with how they treated me. So he took down their website. So all things considered, pretty good consequences. But the thing is, I did not want I didn't want his shop to like fail or anything like that. And that's why I took the wrap off myself. I didn't ask him to take the wrap off. I didn't ask for a refund on the money that I sent him. I didn't ask for them to pay for any of the damage cost to my car, which would have been like well over 3 grand probably. I didn't ask for anything. All I did was just gave constructive criticism, and I was just gonna bite the bullet, eat all the costs, and undo the wrap myself. I didn't leave a bad review on his account. I didn't leave a bad review on Google about his shop or anything. All I did was just gave constructive criticism and walked away. And he had a generational crash out about it. So pretty awesome. I guess moral of the story is that you can trust your friends, but not always with your car. And this isn't the first time that my car's been messed up by him. He messed up my tent a little bit actually. And then there's some other stuff that happened in my car. I'm not really going to go into revving my car like 7,000 RPM whenever it's cold still, oil's still cold. Just, your typical stuff. Nothing too crazy, but all in all, not a very good experience. I would rate it probably like 8 out of 10 swear words. It was really unfortunate. And so moral of the story is don't always trust your friends with things and uh double check them. I don't know. Don't let your friends wrap your car. That's all I can say. Anyway, that's pretty much everything I had for this story and for this RX-8 video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Blah, blah, blah. You know the story, YouTube crap. Subscribe, like, whatever. I'll see you later. Bye.